the whole situation. In fact, people who gave the reports that aided in the whole process said another woman who saw the situation, who had just given birth to a baby who was about 6 months, 7 months old, thereabout, had to go into a house and bring some of her, things and items for this woman to use because the money to get it wasn't available. And now trying to reach out, we're even hearing more that, okay, how are they even going to feed the baby and, do the whole vaccination things? And vaccines now, some of them are free in some hospitals. We know that government does some subsidy work with all of those vaccines. But then you can't take away the fact that the price on medicine is a different turn. And it's now mind-boggling for people. And people said these companies leaving could be the major reason. NAFDAC said a total of 105 applications for the construction and erection of drug manufacturing facilities have been approved across the country. That's according to NAFDAC. The increased cost of drugs still remains, and this could continue for a while. Only 35% of the approved applications have completed construction. Only 35%, not even up to half. Now, that 35% that have completed their construction, have they started producing? And then we would also have the problem of distribution. So when the government says we would look at an executive order, in what form would that executive order come? For some people, we import some of these drugs, especially there are some very, illnesses that require drugs that are not manufactured locally. What about tax waivers? Have that been considered? For some of these medicines, if the government looked at removing the taxes completely, and say, okay, we're not taxing these particular items or particular drugs or medicines. Let's just allow them so that the price could come down a bit. Is that something that we would see? I cannot tell. But the president had directed that immediate action be taken to curb this. And the reason for this is because he wanted to see how we can tackle the problem with prices of medicine. He directed an executive order to be developed that would reduce the barriers to local drug manufacturing and enable the industry to thrive. So if you follow what was said that and you put that together with what NAFDAC had said with the applications of over 105, and amongst those just 35% have approved applications have completed construction, you begin to also question, okay, what could be the hindrances? What could be the delay? The vice president of the African Health Care Federation, Mr. Omosheye, said some of the pharmaceutical companies exited the country due to the challenges such as foreign exchange, which is one that has affected every other sector, not just the pharmaceutical sector, but every other sector. And he said that happened. The ease of doing business was another thing that he also pointed out. And this was the one that I figured would be a major problem because I spoke to some of the pharmacist friends that I have. They said the importation bureaucracy. And that's where we look at the tax waivers and all the others. Says the importation bureaucracy is a serious problem. If you couple that with the dollar to naira rate at the moment, the forex problem that we have, then the problem of multiple taxation was also highlighted. Not to forget malpractice within the industry, but that would be like the minimum in all of them. Top of the list for them is the forex exchange problem, the importation bureaucracy, multiple taxation, and then the ease of doing business in the country. I mean, we know that beyond the pharmaceutical industry, we've had companies in other industries. You remember for ladies sanitary pad, the companies that are in charge of that also have left. We also have even the oil and gas companies leaving, relocating from onshore. We have those as well. So the question now is, what would the executive order be like? What would it be like? The minister had also said that the government initiated construction of pharmaceutical grade warehouses in 21 states. The states have not been mentioned. I tried to get details of those states, but I couldn't. But I know that the number of the states are 21. Hopefully my guest would help us out as soon as we're able to establish contact. 21 states in collaboration with drug management agencies. And the warehouses at the federal level are also on the way, completed by installation, according to what the minister had said. And in fact, he says that the supply would be given to 21 pharma grade warehouses. That's the infrastructure that the government is planning to put on ground. You might also want to question, why did it take us this long to arrive at something like this? Shouldn't this be something that we already have on ground over the years? And what we could be doing now is to add to what we already have existing on ground. Because if now is when these companies are going to come and start constructing, and when will they complete? And then we now begin to work around the production. And now remember, cost of production, because you already know the price of water is up, the price of bread is up, the price of whatever is up because of the cost of production. And this has to do a lot with the cost of diesel and petrol. And we don't know how soon the prices of those will be coming down. So it simply means, the price of cement, let me add. It simply means then that we might not even begin to see the price of medicine come down anytime soon. Well, we have a commercial coming in a few minutes. I have more facts I'll be giving out to you. But first, let me remind you to send in WhatsApp messages. How have you been coping with the situation with regards to the high cost in medicine? Have you been sick lately? What did you do? There are some people I spoke with who say they now go to local means, the herbs and roots, and drink bitter leaf and mix pawpaw leaf and lemongrass and the rest of them to take care of their illness, because they don't have the luxury to spend. It's not because some people don't have the money, but they don't want to spend all that money on medicine when there are other things that they think they would need the money for. So there's also now that dilemma, and people have to choose. How have you been coping? Get on Facebook at Nigeria Info 92.3 PH. Again, Nigeria Info 92.3 PH. That is the Facebook handle. Go there, like the page, follow the conversation. We're streaming live, and then respond to the question. We'd like to know how you're dealing with the increase in the cost of medicine. The WhatsApp number is 0809 030 6416. We'll try to establish contact with my guest, Dr. Charles. When we return after the commercial, the conversation continues.
Mom's love is pure. It's so no she does. Mom's special jollof.
Good morning, Crossfire. My name is Ifeemi Andrew, and my guest is on the line, Dr. Ronari Charles, the immediate past chairman, Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria, Bayelsa State Branch. Sir, you're welcome, and good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning. It's good to be with you this morning.
Happy New Year, Happy New Month. Been well, we haven't spoken for a long time.
Yes, we haven't spoken for a very long time, and I'm glad that we can still have a conversation on your station. Thank you.
All right, this is your constituency, so I'm pretty sure you're eager to say quite a lot. But what is the situation with the rising cost of drugs in the country? The president had said he has directed for an executive order to be developed to reduce the prices and also reduce barriers to local drug manufacturing and enable the industry thrive. Do you think that's enough? Is it just a problem of the local industry not thriving as it ought to? What is basically responsible for it? The vice president of the African Healthcare Federation, I beg your pardon, pointed out few challenges. He said forex exchange, importation bureaucracy, multiple taxation, and the list goes on and on. What is it that really is the problem? Why are we seeing this astronomical increase in the price of medicine, Dr. Charles?
Yes, I must confess that one of the things you said, which has to do with local drug manufacture production, is the one thing that can actually help in what we are having and the situation we're having now. One of the goals of the National Drug Policy of Nigeria is basically to ensure that there is access to medicines, and the medicines that are being accessed should be affordable and they should be safe for Nigerians. So that's one of the major goals of the National Drug Policy. And so if we're able to encourage local manufacture of drugs, then we will be able to solve this problem of the skyrocketing prices of medicine in Nigeria. But that's not the only thing. There are other factors that lead to or that have led to the skyrocketing increase in the price of medicine. For instance, we understand that there is erratic power supply in the country. In some cases, you don't even have power supply. People generate their own power. So if that is the case, of course, that can also add to the cost of medicines that are being sold to the public. But I'd like to talk more about local drug manufacture, because that's a very, very important component if we must consider ways to reduce the cost of medicine.
All right, before you go into that, but this situation with local drug manufacturing has always been there in the past 20 years, but we've not seen the price of medicine go this high. So as much as we still had importation of medicines, and we've been clamoring for more companies to emerge locally that would produce drugs in the country, and we haven't had that prayers answered effectively, we still did not see this increase at the level that we're seeing it now. So doesn't that point to the direction of perhaps some other factors contributing to why we're seeing this astronomical increase in price?
Yes, let me explain that so that it becomes clearer. Now, we're having a different dimension to it. The increase is different. Let me say that whatever that we do not produce, the price cannot be under your control. We must understand that. And importation is not done in Naira. It is done in dollars. And we have seen the dollar-Naira difference. I hope you understand that. So whatever that you do not produce, you cannot control the price of that particular item. And if there is the dollar-Naira difference has gone up, it also means that there will be an astronomical increase in the prices of medicines, because they are largely imported. We import crude products, we import finished products, active pharmaceutical ingredients have been imported, excipients have been imported. So tell me why we're not going to have this experience.
How many drugs can you say you're in that industry? How many drugs can you point out to say we produce locally in this country?
Well, the production of medicines in Nigeria is not substantial. If I'm going to express that in terms of percentage, not in terms of number of medicines that are produced, but a very small small fraction of medicine.
How many local
compared to
companies?
what-
How many local companies do we have?
Okay, we have companies like Jewel that is manufacturing medicine, and there are a number of other ones within the country. But the fraction is very small compared to the amount of medicines we consume. That's the challenge.
So
we have.
can you say we
And
have
so
up
they
to
cannot
10
produce-
local
they
manufacturing?
cannot produce- Sir,
Do we have up to 10 local drug manufacturing companies in Nigeria?
well, I can't categorically give you the figure, but we have quite a number of them. I just mentioned one of them, and then there are a number of others, and some are not very popular, but they are producing. The
Okay.
problem is that the amount of medicines we consume, the range of products we consume is large, and these companies have their line of products. They do not produce all drugs that are used, so they don't have their production of all kinds of drugs that we use in the country. They have their line of products. So, and that is actually small compared to what we consume in Nigeria. I don't know if that is clear.
Mm.
That's the challenge we have. Drugs are many.
And the
these
raw
conditions
materials
are
for
many.
this production are imported?
Yeah. Largely imported.
Okay. Something else that was mentioned as a hindrance was the multiple taxation problems and importation bureaucracy. How is that a factor in all of this? Can you explain to us by multiple taxation? Because for some people, the hope was if the government would do anything, perhaps tax waivers could be given on certain drugs. Because this period, we know that we have certain drugs for certain patients that are very vital, but now very expensive as well and difficult for people with high blood pressure, people with tuberculosis, people with arthritis, people with, I mean, the list could go on and on. How do we work around that?
Okay, I would like to agree with you on the issue of multiple taxation. And let me say that it starts right from the port to the point where these medicines have been dispensed to Nigerians. You'll see the Nigerian Immigration Service will want to use the such means of the importation of medicines to charge importers and make money from that. But that's not just where the issue is. When these medicines are finally conveyed even to the point of use in the pharmacies, either in the retail pharmacies or in the wholesale pharmacies, you see other government agencies coming for one form of levy, one form of fee, one form of tax or the other. And there are different groups in different states in the country. You see about 5 different agencies of government go into a particular pharmacy to get fees, to get money paid over things that are debatable, and then of course such is going to be considered in the overall cost of the medicines that will be supplied to patients. So that is contributing largely to what we're experiencing in the country at this time. Multiple taxation, right from the port to the point where they are being transported to the point of dispensing. These are the challenges that we encounter.
All right. Because of the time, we're going to open the phone lines. Let's hear from the listener. I'm sure they have quite a lot of contributions to make, and we'll get your response to their questions as well. A few more questions I'm going to ask you, but first, let's go to the phone lines and hear what the listener has to say. 0817-923-0002, 0817-923-0003. Because questions around even those drugs we produce locally. We know that we have the Emzor paracetamol that's produced locally. I'm correct, yes?
Yes.
But then it's expensive. I know it used to be around 50 naira, and now I know it's about 200 naira for a sachet, I think. Locally, they'll say a card.
After neighborhood pharmacy, the 200, I guess. Because the price could vary.
Okay. In your location, how much is it sold from a retail pharmacy?
Okay, it's around what you have mentioned. There are places that sell at 200. There are places that you could get at 150.
So
it's not
it's not static.
It's not static here.
Okay. But then when it used to be 15 naira, it seemed to be 15 naira across board. So what could be now the difference and why we have the variations?
No, that's your perception. It wasn't 15 naira across board.
Okay.
Yes, there are a lot of factors that necessitate these differences in or differentials in cost of medicine. So of course, what you're going to get from a big eatery, the kind of food you're going to get from a big eatery will not be the same cost if you have to visit one local restaurant, even if you're going to be consuming the same thing. So those are factors that are considered. You cannot have the price of medicines exactly the same across different places, but the difference shouldn't be so much.
All right, so let me take some messages on Facebook. Thank God Ability says everything in Nigeria is on the increase. A capsule of ampiclos we used to buy for 200 naira. Now it's about 1,100. Clever Sonny says the hardship in Nigeria is biting harder. The president should do everything possible to make sure price of drugs and other commodities are affordable.
And please,
yes.
Let's not forget the fact that I mentioned there are other issues with the country like power supply not being stable. People generate their own power, and so that is also going to add to the cost of medicine. And then we have some multinational companies that are leaving Nigeria, and so their products will become scarce. And now to source those products will become a Herculean task, and that is also going to contribute to the cost of medicine because once there is scarcity of the product, of course, we know the implications. Just to mention that.
All right. 0817-923-0002. 0817-923-0002. 0817-923-0003. We'll take a few calls, but you'd also tell us the fear that this could lead people to begin to patronize roadside medicine or drug sellers, like we used to have back in the day, and it was a serious problem to tackle. People buy medicine from traffic and the rest of them. That is gradually becoming a concern. Let's go to a chair and start with Robin. Robin, good morning.
Yes, good morning, my brother.
All right, Robin, go ahead. Hold on, Dr. Charles. Let's listen to this caller first.
Then greetings to our guests in the studio. It's Andrew. You've heard from our guests, and it's very clear what we are going through in the country today is abysmal. All the programs arranged, prepared, and executed at the federal and even the state are not where this aspect of health is captured. What I said is palliative to release grain and all that. How do they want us to survive? Mostly the aged. We were in this state when an administration led by former Governor Chibi Tamechi had respect and the elders had respect as regards health. What is going on? The old men and the old women are dying. The aged are dying. A poor man cannot go to pharmacy and access drugs. It's ridiculous. And I think the government, both at the federal and the state level, should think about the health of its citizens so that we can thrive. Please. Good morning.
All right, Robin, thank you. JJ from Port Harcourt, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Andrew, and good morning to your guest.
All right, JJ, go ahead.
Andrew and the guest, in those days when we were growing up, you have the federal medical store. I think in Port Harcourt here, you also have federal medical store and they have borrowed or something. What has happened to those ideas? At least when drugs were selling for 200 naira out here, at federal medical store, you could get it for 50 naira. What has happened to those ideas, sir? Thank you very much.
All right. Our guest to respond. We'll take a few more calls. 0817-923-0003. 0817-923-0007. Most importantly, remember to share with us how you are dealing with the rising costs of medicine. Do you have any alternatives that you've applied? Non-traditional, like many people say they have. How are you dealing with that situation? This person says, paracetamol of 50 naira is now 200 naira, depending on your area, and it's not even effective. Most of them have lost potency due to the condition they are subjected to. Femi, let's go back to the roots and herbs that we know. Okay. There's also that fear, Dr. Charles, for the quality now of the medicine that we take. People have also expressed this worry that it doesn't seem to be as potent as it used to be. Sometimes when you take, if you take a drug for a certain headache or something, the effect, sometimes back in the day, you take it and in a matter of minutes you feel a lot better. Now you might have to take it over and over and over and over to achieve that result. That also has become a concern. Let's hold your thoughts. We'll get back to you. Let's hear from Mufasa on NTA Road. Mufasa, good morning.
Yes, Andrew, good morning, and good morning to your guests. Well, exactly what I wanted to talk about. Not that the price has gone up astronomically, sadly so. But it seems not to be that effective as it was when it was even cheaper. So I do not understand why the price of pharmaceutical products would just go up like that. And you need to buy like 3 cards of warm medicine if you want to deworm, for instance, before. If I take just 1 card of warming, I don't need to bother about it. But even if you go to the pharmacy, they will recommend that you take like 3 packs of, warm medicine. So are we helping ourselves, or we are, making things more difficult for ourselves? That is one. Then lastly, a lot of people don't even understand that even these tradomedical, practitioners, they're equally good. So if the orthodox medicine, if it becomes very difficult for us to buy, to take care of ourselves, so don't your guests think that we should, fall back to our traditional ways of taking care of ourselves. People can't just die like that.
All right, Mufasa, thank you. My guest will respond. 0817-923-0007. 0817-923-0007. You can also call 0817-923-0003 and 0817-923-0002. Any of those numbers to join us on the conversation this morning on Morning Crossfire. Dr. Charles, let's start with the last caller who said, should we go back to the roots, to the herbs, to the traditional medicine industry in the country is also seeing a huge boost. Are you worried that could be where people focus on? And we know that we don't have a lot of control in that area as well.
Okay. That's quite interesting. I am happy and I'm glad that someone talked about that. The truth is that is expected in treatment or in the care of the sick. You see, God has blessed this country so much. We have natural products. These are indigenous products that we can actually grow. And traditional, complementary, and alternative medicine should be part of our practice, to be what we should encourage. As a matter of fact, the Nigerian government has established an agency on natural medicine, and it is headed by a pharmacist, Professor Martin Emeji. It's just that recently, because of in trying to implement that report that was said that they are beginning to match
the OASE report, agency. Yes.
Yes, so that agency was established. You see, we rely so much on orthodox medicine, and that's part of our problem. So it is something that we should encourage. We should encourage and we should accept, and not just accept, that we should integrate traditional, complementary, and alternative medicine in our practice. You see, we have a lot of products in our environment. The problem we have, or the challenge we have, is that people, because of lack of understanding, they take products, natural products, and then prepare them in ways that could be very harmful, like taking some herbs and then mixing them inside alcohol, just like that, without any standardization, and then they just drink, or even mixing them with soft drinks or other kinds of drinks. That is the challenge we have. But there is nothing wrong in encouraging orthodox traditional, complementary, and alternative medicine. But that should be integrated in our practice. So we should encourage. The government has to find a way to encourage that. Because if we get these products and then we make them into the finished product that can be consumed, it will go a long way in reducing this, cost of medicine. That's one way. It will also help us to have easy access to medicine. There are countries where people, able to make decisions between other medicine and alternative medicine. Well integrated.
Well, we know that practice happens in China and Thailand and other parts of Asia. Another thing I'd like to know is, do you feel that enough is invested in research, especially in this particular the pharmaceutical industry? How much investment are we making with regards to research?
The investment in research in the pharmaceutical industry is very low. Government has not really encouraged research through grants in the pharmaceutical sector. That's why we're urging the government to do something serious about that. Look into how the pharmaceutical sector can be encouraged through research. We have the human resources. We have a very good number of professors, and in this area, in this field, we have pharmacists who are distinguished that know what to do. But the challenge is, how do we get it done? It involves finances, it involves sponsorship, it involves grants. How many grants do we get? These are the issues we are talking about. If the government will be serious and then invest in this area, we will get results. We have the manpower, we have the human resources.
And then the fear of us returning to where people patronize roadside medicine or drug sellers. How do we? Are you not concerned that how we're going if the prices of drugs and medicine doesn't begin to decrease? We might get to people purchasing medicine from traffic and the others, which was a huge problem in this country sometime in the past, and took us quite a while to sensitize people and get out of that situation. But it seems as though we might be going down that path with what we're seeing happening at the moment in that industry.
Okay, let me address that in addition to the other concerns that were raised by those.
And then the potency of the medicines that we take now, with the price getting higher and higher by the day. People say it's not as effective as it used to be when the price was lower. What is the pharmaceutical?
Let me address.
Yes.
Okay, let me address those issues. Now, it's about the health-seeking behavior of Nigerians. It's about literacy, health literacy. Even if you see, once you know what to do, you know the right places to seek for healthcare services. No matter the cost, you will still stick to what is right. You cannot be buying medicines from people who hawk drugs in the bus or on the street. You cannot be looking for prescription medicines in a shop, which is supposed to just sell over-the-counter medicine. So it is about the health-seeking attitude and behavior of Nigerians, and it's about medical literacy. It's about literacy. So you know that people who are enlightened will not seek healthcare in certain places. That's just about it. So it's not really about the fact that the cost has increased, even though that can be a factor, but it's about having that understanding. Now let me talk about people not getting the effectiveness of medicine these days as compared to before now. That has to do with possibility of faking. It is possible to have a fake or concentrated product or a falsified medicine, and that is why we encourage Nigerians to buy medicines, to get their medicines only from registered pharmacies. Registered pharmacies are usually easy to decipher. You will see the RX and a green cross and the emblem. Walk into that farm, you are sure of getting quality medicine. Then you wouldn't have the issue of fake. Now let me also mention, apart from the fact that we could have fake products from different sources, of course we encourage you to get the medicine from registered pharmacies, and I've mentioned what you need to look out for. The green cross, RX sign is there. It's an emblem that shows that this is a registered pharmacy, and then you get genuine medicine from there. There is also the problem of tolerance. Nigerians sometimes have a particular product, and then they are used to it, so they keep taking that particular. In fact, there is a particular home that the mother was giving this child paracetamol from when she was 1 year old. From 1 year till she became 15 years, every day. When I found that was happening, I had to caution her. And that girl was losing weight. At the point of giving the girl paracetamol every day, she started adding some weight, and she was looking fresher and better. So sometimes we may have taken a particular drug for a period of time, and then we cannot get the desired effect from that particular dose. We will need to up the dose. We will need to increase the dose to be able to achieve the same level
Dr.
of
Charles.
effectiveness.
All right, Dr. Charles, we have to say thank you at this point because we're already out of time. But thank you for doing justice and educating us on this issue.
Can I just mention one thing, sir?
Oh, that would have to be after the commercial because just stay on the line after the commercial. Then we'll hear what you have to say then.